Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always exciting to be back.
Today, we're going to be tackling something that's, well, it's pretty fundamental. We're diving into the history of the alphabet.
Ah, yes, the building blocks of written language. It's more fascinating than you might think.
Right. I mean, we use it every day, but how often do we stop and think, wait, how do we even get these letters?
Exactly. It didn't just appear out of thin air.
So where do we even begin with something like this? I mean, the alphabet feels like it's always just kind of been there.
Well, think about it this way. Way, way back, long before pencils and paper, people still wanted to communicate and tell stories, right?
Yeah.
So what they did was, well, they drew cave paintings. Those were like the earliest forms of storytelling and record keeping.
Oh, yeah, like those drawings of animals and hunts.
Exactly. And over time, these pictures started to become more simplified, more symbolic, less like, hey, look at this realistic buffalo, and more like, this symbol represents the idea of strength or food, things like that.
Ah, so that's where those ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs come in, right? I've always been kind of fascinated by those. Some of them still kind of look like pictures, don't they?
Yeah, you're right. Hieroglyphs were a big step, but they were kind of complicated. Imagine having to learn a different picture for every single word. That's a lot of memorization.
Phew, that sounds like a lot of work.
It was. So then came this brilliant idea, the alphabet. Instead of a whole picture for each word, why not just have symbols represent sounds?
Oh, so like instead of a picture of a cat, you just have symbols for the C sound, the A sound, and the T sound.
Exactly. And guess what? Those ancient people, they were using a lot of the same sounds we still use today. It's like we're all connected through these sounds, even across thousands of years.
That's kind of mind-blowing. But those early alphabets, I bet they didn't look exactly like what we use today, did they?
Nope, not quite. See, as these alphabets spread, different cultures adapted them, changed the shapes a bit to fit their own writing styles and tools.
I guess that makes sense.
And there's one alphabet that was especially influential, the one developed by the Phoenicians. They were incredible sailors and traders, so their alphabet got around.
The Phoenicians, I don't think I've ever heard of them before.
Oh, they were amazing. They lived in the ancient Middle East, and their alphabet was simple and efficient, only 22 symbols. The Greeks, they picked it up, made some tweaks, and bam! From there, it evolved into the Latin alphabet, the one we use for English and so many other languages.
Wow. So, like, every time I write my name, I'm using an alphabet that has roots going all the way back to the Phoenicians.
Yep, pretty cool, huh?
It is. And speaking of cool, is that where the word alphabet comes from, too?
Right.
From those ancient times?
You got it. Alphabet comes from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta.
Huh. I never knew that. And you know what else I've noticed? A lot of those Greek letters pop up in science, too, right?
You're right. It's like those ancient Greeks, they weren't just content with writing stories. They wanted to understand the world around them, and they used their alphabet to do it.
So, like, what kind of stuff? Give me an example.
Okay, so alpha in science often means like the first or the most important. Like the alpha wolf leading the pack.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Right, it's like a little piece of the alphabet is baked right into scientific thinking.
It all makes sense now. So we've got these letters. They've got this crazy history. But I got to ask, how we write them, that's changed, too, over time, hasn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Romans weren't typing on laptops.
You're absolutely right. Just like languages evolve, so does writing. Think about it, you don't see many people carving letters into stone tablets these days, do you?
Not really. Unless they're, like, making a really fancy sign or something.
Exactly. The tools we use, they've totally shaped how we write. Chisels, pens, printing presses, computers, each one has influenced the way letters look.
It's incredible. All this from just wanting to write stuff down.
It really is. The alphabet is like a key that unlocks a whole world of communication and knowledge. And every time you write, you're using that key, a key that's been passed down for thousands of years.
Wow, that's a great way to think about it.
So, next time you see some writing, any writing, take a closer look. You might be surprised by the stories those letters have to tell.
Great advice. And thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the alphabet.
Until next time.
See you then.